Hello, agentpreneurs, and welcome to episode 93 of the Daily List Report. Today's going to be a really great conversation that I had with Matt Clements from the agency. He's a top agent based in South Orange County. And one of the things that I love most about the conversation that I had with Matt is the fact that he really identified an aspect of his own life, that is a former pro surfer, that he could leverage in his business. This speaks to a level of authenticity. And as he built his brand, this became front and center for him. It became what he was known for. It became the circles that he traveled in. And as we've talked about time and time again on the show, if you're not known for something, you're not known for anything. So you got to figure out what that thing is about you. You got to put yourself out there. You got to make sure that you stand out in a way that is authentic to who you are. So this confirmation is awesome. We're going to talk about Matt's playbook. We're going to talk about how he uses affirmations and how he built his brand. And I hope you enjoy the conversation we had with Matt. Hey, Matt, say hi to our agentpreneurs.
Good morning from California, Southern California, beachside.
That's right, beachside indeed. And we're going to talk, you've got a picture of a surfer in the back, and I don't think that's just any surfer is my guess. Is that right, Matt?
That was me I think that was 1999.
1999, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So Matt, what I want you to do for a couple minutes, if you don't mind, is tell all of the agents out there, tell them a little bit about yourself, how you got into the business. There's a lot of really interesting things about your story, and then we're going to come back and tie those back to some really key learnings and principles.
Sure. I am a second career. So real estate, being a realtor, being second. First was being a pro surfer. And that was the unique experience. I turned pro when I was 17. So right out of high school, I was on a tour called the World Qualifying Series for 6 years, chasing points and money, basically, and acquiring sponsors along the way that would fund my journey. And in the end, I ended up in the top 150 in the world at a very young age and learned a lot. And then I started to apply it a lot into real estate. After I saw the end of my career start, it was when I started to make that very intentional transition. Now I'm actually a fourth generation realtor, which is interesting because my family wanted me to go into real estate right away. And I had this incredible passion that I couldn't give up the opportunity when it was just handed to me. And so I took it and I went for it, and I'm really glad I did because it ended up making me who I am today. And all the confidence that I have comes from surfing and being able to do something that I think most people ordinarily think is really, really hard to master, about as hard as golf to master. But once you get really good at it, it does a lot, I think, for you personally. And just being in the ocean is a wonderful thing. It's good for your soul. It's kind of hard for surfers to explain, but it's just good for you. You're a better person as a surfer, no doubt.
Matt, what was really interesting, and one of the things that we've talked about quite a bit on this show is we've had agent after agent come on and talk about how they built their niche, right? How they became known for something, and you have to be known for something. And so when I first met you, we were down in South County and Orange County, and we're down by the beach, and you said, I remember when this looked totally different before this was here, and I used to surf right there. So talk about, initially, as you said to me, your resistance to embrace sort of the surfer dude, and I'm using that intentionally because of a story that you told me, to really making that a part of who you are as a real estate agent and part of your brand.
Yeah, interestingly enough, the book I'm reading, or just finishing right now, by Simon Sinek, outlines the whole premise for the whole conversation, which is, why are you a realtor? And everything that I have done in my whole life leading up to now has been revolved around surf. And when we talked, I had you meet me at the Ritz-Carlton in Laguna Niguel, which is right across the street from where I live. And that's a unique spot because probably one of the nicest hotels in all the world. And you have a beach right below, which is where I surf. And then me being a local growing up literally down the street, how do I get the people in my marketplace to understand that I sell real estate when I have this, what I thought was a stigma doing that, where people were really, in my mind, giving me a label, if you will. Now, I started young. When I retired from pro surfing, I was 25 years old. And I got my real estate license right when I graduated from UC Irvine. That was the first thing I did. And the last thing I wanted to do was tell people that I had just been a pro surfer. And remember, this was also in the, we went through the deep, dark 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11 market. And I hung on as a practicing agent, and I'm one of two guys that I know that made it, that are my age, in my marketplace.
Right.
Everyone else is not in the business anymore. And ironically, the other guy, he was a surfer too. He was a great surfer. He unfortunately had a really bad accident a couple years ago, got hit by a car, and he's one of the guys that we support at the Orange County Association of Realtors Cares Foundation, because he has 5 boys. He's unfortunately incapacitated. He's one of my best friends.
Wow.
And so you never know what life is going to throw at you. He used surfing as a big base too for his clients, and
Yeah.
so I'm the only one left out of that group.
But you leveraged that, right? You know, you leveraged that and you embraced it, and it became to this day it's part of who you're known, right? You know, you told me about people you might see in Washington D.C. and they're like, "Hey, surfer dude." I don't remember who that was exactly, but you know, this is part of your brand. You're known for something, which is really critical.
Yeah, so I'm friends with a lot of people just coming off being the president of the Orange County Realtors. John Smaby, who is the president of the National Association of Realtors, he's a really good friend of mine, and he'll see me in the halls. I go, "Surfer boy, surfer
Surfer
boy."
boy, yeah.
Kenny Parcell, who is just become elected to be our first vice president for the National Association of Realtors. I didn't tell you the story, but was it last year? Yeah, it was last year, 2 years ago. I went on a trip to Costa Rica for surfing, and I went straight from Costa Rica to Chicago, where I had leadership meetings, and I brought my surfboards because they were on the airplane. There was nowhere else for them to go, so I checked them into my hotel, and my friend saw me dragging boards, and the staff was going like, "What is in that bag?" And I pulled it out. I'm like, 3 surfboards is in here. Well, Kenny Parcell, and you'll know his name in the next couple of years because he's going to become the most prominent leader in organized real estate in 2021 and 2022 as the president. And he comes straight up to me and he goes, "Okay, tell me when and where was the last time that you went surfing?" And
Hmm.
it was like 1:30 p.m. local time in Chicago, and we were in the lobby, and I proudly was like, "This morning I surfed twice in Costa Rica." And he was like, "That is why I love this guy. That's why I love you." And
That's amazing.
all encompassing, that is my brand. So as we grew out of MySpace, right, we grew into Facebook, and then YouTube started to really emerge as like a platform to distribute, understand my why, which is surfing, and when the waves are good I go surfing, and everything has moved around that now, and my clients love it, my clients appreciate it, they know how much happier I am after I do it,
Yeah.
and it really it gives me my life and my soul back, and I really am able to push that into them. They feel that love after I go for a surf or after I go for a trip. And then ironically, I also travel every quarter. Now this is my travel plans for next week are going to get interrupted because of what we're
Of
going through.
course. Yeah.
But they love to know where I go. They want to be part of it. They follow me on Instagram or wherever I post the pictures, and it's a big deal for them. So yeah, it's a huge part of who I am.
Yeah. No,
I'm not
that's
the
tremendous.
not the dog guy. I'm not the horse guy. I'm not the I'm just the surfer. And
Right, and that's the point, though, right? For everyone out there, is you have to be some guy or a gal, right? You're the condo guy or a gal, or you're the surf guy or a gal. You have to be known for something. So, you know, Matt, one of the really interesting things that we touched on in our preparation for this call is two things, right? One is the role of affirmations and mindset. So I want you to talk about that. And then following that, we're going to talk a little bit about daily targets, because you have a really great plan for that. And I think that's going to be really helpful to our agents. So talk about affirmations and positivity in your day to day.
well, it's everything. So first, if you're not saying stuff positive to yourself, your brain's probably telling something negative, and you need to offset that anyway. It starts with reading. It's what you put into your mind every day. So books like Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill is an absolute must for any would-be business person. How to Win Friends and Influence People was massive for me. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. And a lot of authors have really impacted my mindset. Even the modern authors, that they're all, it's funny because it's like a line of teachers you can see from Andrew Carnegie, who led Napoleon Hill to write his masterpiece, to W. Clements Stone, to Jim Rohn, who's probably the biggest guy that I listen to, and Zig Ziglar, and they all talk about the same thing. So it's what you tell yourself, because I have personally experienced this in surfing, to where I'm in a heat in a contest where there's points of money on the line, and mentally I've said this to myself: don't fall, don't fall, don't fall, don't fall. And sure enough, what do after I get it at the end of the way? Boom, I fall, because it's what I'm telling myself. I'm basically commanding myself.
Right.
And today, interestingly enough, I think I surf better than I did when I was on tour. It's just a thing. Uh, and at 43 years old, I think that's a pretty significant thing, because I really have found control over my body, my maneuvers, and what I do. And my mindset, especially on bigger days, is, and I said this to myself yesterday on, I surfed as soon as last night. I surf every day almost. And I'll tell myself, yes, I can. I know I can. I know I can. I'm the man. I'm the guy. My name is Matthew Gregory Clements. I got this. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. And then that puts me, and that's right before I take off. That's very similar to what I do in life. So, and that's just in the ocean. So affirmations, your
It's an
mind.
important part of this, right? Like you said, getting yourself pumped up, whatever that is. It could be music, it could be podcasts, it could be looking yourself in the mirror, right? Whatever works for you. But I find personally that I feed off of that energy, whatever it is. If it's someone else's energy or energy I create for myself, I need that, right, from people around me. Otherwise, I get drained. And that speaks to a point you mentioned yesterday, which is to stay away from the negativity, stay away from negative people. You said you're seeing a lot of this in the business today, right?
So much. And your mind can be such a scary place to be. That's the thing, is I don't believe that any of us are immune to negative thoughts. It just depends
Correct.
how you battle them. And I've had to battle them in competition, so this is something I've been accustomed to, becoming comfortable being uncomfortable. And when you know who you are inside, you're able to create your own affirmation. That's what I encourage everyone to do. So, and my affirmations are really simple. It's: I'm strong, I'm determined, I'm focused, I'm energetic, I'm enthusiastic, and I'm pleased with my results, because I do the right thing. I give my 100% best, and I show everyone I can, because I know I can. I'm the guy. I'm the man. Let's go. Let's do this.
Nice,
And as
nice,
long as you
nice. I
can,
love
you
that.
can have some sort of repetitive thought. The idea here is to take that negative thought and just basically squish it with this, and overcome it with this positive thought, until the negative thought just goes away, and you keep repeating, and then all of a sudden it's gone, and you get to move on in life. And I think that's applicable to everything. I've been in conversations with people I don't even like, and I'll say affirmations just to hold the conversation and be polite at the same time. But that's how I keep my mind sharp instead of going negative.
Yeah.
And everyone's been caught in conversation they don't want to be in, and I'm guilty of being a great listener. And so I will literally repeat affirmations until that person's done, and I'll walk away. Or
That's
sometimes I've been
awesome.
strong enough to where I'll just distract them and walk away.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
yeah.
okay.
That's
Be
okay.
good with that. Be good
That's
letting
right.
people out of your life. That's one of the biggest things that Jim Rohn taught me, is that you can hang around with someone for 2 hours, but certainly not 2 days. You
Yeah,
know,
I mean, and the power of no, right? These things are so hard to do, but they're so powerful. Um, a couple weeks ago, we had Mark Choey on, who's one of the founders of Climb Real Estate, and he talked about his focus and discipline in building his brand, where he became the number two condo salesperson in San Francisco for 6 years, which is a pretty big accomplishment. He literally started by moving into one building, only doing deals in one building, sold 40% of those units, referred deals literally across the street, right? There's a tremendous amount of discipline in how you build a brand. So the other piece of this, Matt, which is really interesting, is your daily targets. I think you called them. So I actually created a slide. I'm gonna pull it up here and show everybody. And I'd like you to talk to all of the agents out there about your daily habits and what it means for you to win the day, I should say.
yeah, that's the whole point of being in real estate, is outside of understanding your why and pursuing your passion, because without passion you'll fail, is knowing thy target. So if you don't have a target, you're going to hit some interesting things just by accident. And this was a lesson taught early on to me again in my career. And so what's your target? And I had to develop that target. And I had to first understand if my target was people that I knew, people that were going to work with me that I knew, or was it people that I wanted to go after that I didn't know. And so that was actually two different segments of people and two completely different business plans. So in my marketplace, it's all who you know. in Laguna Niguel, Dana Point, Laguna Beach, Monarch Beach, very tight beach community. And with great coaching, I was able to come up with the win the day formula. So, how do you win the day? How do you know you win the day? What is winning the day? Like, because most people, and I'm guilty of this, in the first like 6, 7, 8 years, I would work until midnight, like just working on flyers that never even saw a mailbox, stupid stuff. And finally, with the good coaching, I was able to put a formula together called the 5-4-3-2-1. And it's very simple, but if you can do this every single day, it's going to be almost impossible for you not to earn net over 6 figures no matter what market you're in the country, because it just works. And it's designed for high propensity of touches, and it's also designed to show people a little extra love. And in the end, we're in the love business, and we're in the trust business. And there's a lot of agents out there that are good. There's a lot that aren't good, and there's just a lot out there. So what I've found is Grandpa told me to see the people and to also use the telephone. So the 5 is the most simple fundamental in this. And this is the first thing you do every day. You're talking to 5 people that you know. 5 people in your database. And your database should be segmented already from A plus, A, B, C. If it gets down to D, it's a delete. But you focus on your A plus and your A's. And then when you exhaust that, then you can move into your B's. And the idea is to push your B's up into A's on performance. And that's by referring you. And vice versa. If they're not performing, it's okay to bring them down a level and replace them with someone who's you're going to give some time that's going to net a result. So the 5 people you talk to every day are your friends. There's people in those talk to segment, and it's like very simple. How are you? How are the kids? Have you been surfing? And can I ask you a quick business question? And they all say yeah. And it's just planting a seed. You're basically planting a seed with this call. And it's like, hey, Randy, hey, if you were to buy or sell a home, or if you had a family member or friend who was, do you have a realtor that you would use and or refer them to right here in Dana Point? And after you ask someone that question, it's a really thought-provoking question. If you were to buy or sell a home, or if you had a family member or friend, who would you guys use or refer them to? And most people don't have an answer to this. Even you ask me, I'm an agent myself, so I think if I was blindsided or asked this question, I would really have to dig deep and think about this, because most people are going to answer either, dude, I have no idea. Why do you ask? And you go, I'd love to be that person. And from time to time, I provide my friends and clients and family with information they find valuable, literally in the millions. Do you want to receive that stuff too? And so it's a good way to open up a dialogue, get their home address, and then get them on your mail program, which is just designed for my A plus and A's. The second answer they're going to give is like, yeah, Bob Wolf, he is my agent. And you're like, well, of course, Bob's like my hero too, best agent in the marketplace, 43 years. I'm so glad you have a great agent. If that is the case, they go immediately from a B to a delete, because they have an agent. There's no need for you to even talk to them except for ask them for sugar. And the third answer is the best. It's the rarest, but it happens, and this is the point. This is why you do it. And other than to plant the seed, to help that seed grow in the minds of the people that you touch. But the third answer is like, I cannot believe you called today. Seriously? I can't believe you called. I was just with my mom and my aunt. As you know, my dad passed away last year. And then we didn't really realize, but we have 18 properties we have to sell. And your name came up. And then here you go. You call on Tuesday. Like, right. It's meant to be. And,
right.
And that's and that's a listing. And that's the reason that you do it. And it's repetition. It's over time. I've learned that nothing happens quick. I didn't become a pro surfer overnight. It took years of building and years of losing and years of learning. And it's the same thing in this. Is you're just repetition over time. You're building this bank of trust with people, letting them know that you're in business, that you're interested in doing business, that you're on it. When you call in the morning, people appreciate a morning call, even if they don't pick up like 8:15 a.m. This guy's on it. And even if they don't pick up, they think about you all day. And they're like, I got to call Matt back eventually. I'll call him back. I'll call him back. But I like to be top of mind with that. Even when I'm leaving a message, I like to know that I'm on their radar. And so that's the 5. That's the biggest key fundamental. Number 4 is the same thing. It's on the phone. So number 4 is the number of lead follow-up calls, conversations. So 4, you go through all of your list of leads until 4 people pick up. And your whole line is, hey, it's Matt, just following up. And then I shut my mouth. And then I'll let like an awkward silence of 5 seconds go by. They'll finally tell me where they're at. And they'll always say this when they pick up the phone. If I've called multiple times, they'll almost always go, I'm so sorry I didn't call you back all those times, but I got all your messages. Thank you.
Yeah.
Number 3, this is, I think, the biggest bang for your buck in real estate. The people that aren't doing it, they just don't know. They just haven't seen results from this, or they just don't do it. And that's the power of the handwritten note. And especially right now, my coach advised me to do as many handwritten notes as I can during this time. Last year, being president, my coach didn't advise me, but he should have told me that I'm only going to have time to write notes and make calls. And so make that a priority and beef them up. And so 3 handwritten notes every day to people that are in your database, people you just open escrow with, the other real estate agent to make a transaction smooth, people you just met, especially at the national conferences, for them to get a card is a big deal. I put a surf picture or something cool in there. The number 2 is the number of, this is an easy, fun one. It's called gifts or pop buys. And so you drop off 2 a day, and you can do this right before you break for lunch. And by the way, the 5, 4, 3, you do that in the morning. The 2, you do it on your way out to lunch. So this is at people's home. I'm a surfer, so I give away wax, like surf wax that you rub on your surfboard. And it's about this big, and per unit, it's like 60 cents.
Right, it's
And
part of your brand. It's so fantastic, right? You've embodied that in the gifts that you give as well.
I slap a sticker on the front that says "Stick with a Pro." Has my contact. People love it. They laugh. They might not use it, but they'll keep it for a couple years, or they'll give it away. And it has a huge shelf life. Sunscreen. I love giving away sunscreen because everyone uses it here. I have the funniest label. Like, people pee their pants when they see this label. It's so funny. And I think they get more enjoyment out of the fun stuff than I even do. And I'm learning to have a lot more fun with it and be a lot lighter. And yeah, the Will Ferrell and the Speedo, don't get burned by choosing the wrong realtor. People love that. Great. Yeah, it's easy. And all this stuff, like, you can get into flip-flops. Those are under $5 a unit. Towels are under $10 a unit. And you can customize stuff. It's really easy to do. Surfing is fun because we have little stuff like leashes and T-shirts and shades that you can give away all day.
That's awesome. So 2 gifts a day. So again, the morning stuff, the calls you get done before lunch. On your way to lunch, you drop off a couple gifts, and then what do you do in the afternoon?
And then the one is the most important. So it's 1 appointment a day, and that's in the afternoon. And the calls are designed to set up the appointment. The whole purpose of a phone call is to set an appointment. And so you make sure that you have an appointment every day, and appointments with a buyer or a seller or someone that sends you buyers or sellers. That's it. It's not, someone in the office that wants to meet. It's not someone that you just want to like buy lunch. This is a very specific. The best appointment you can ever have is with a seller. The best thing you can ever bring with you at an appointment with your seller is your listing agreement, the disclosures, and your listing presentation. You probably won't ever have to do your listing presentation unless someone really wants to see something cool and unique, or you kind of want to blow people out of the water. You do it. You show what your company has done or your numbers, and people are really, they appreciate it. But when you get in front of someone and you start talking real estate and they're an absolute seller, and you're starting to go through the qualifying if you haven't done that already on the phone, and they're ready, when they meet with you, they're ready. And I think one of the best things you can ever do is go through disclosures early with the seller. Even if you don't have the listing yet, just go, we've got a couple of questionnaires that just want to go through. It takes about 30 minutes. It talks about everything in the house. It's called the seller property questionnaire and the real estate transfer disclosure. And it's very fundamentals. It's going to be great for you to hammer it out whether you use me or not. But I think this is a good thing to go through. And it gets them in the habit of signing a contract.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're asking questions like, dear seller, are you aware of anyone that died here in the last 3 years? Are you aware of any, uh, methamphetamine underneath the property? Are you aware of any radon gas? Is there any smells is there any mold that we should be aware of? Is there any material defects that we should be aware of? When you go through those eye-opening questions with an owner, they're really thinking like, dude, this guy's a pro.
Mm-hmm.
And it also helps you lead in because of the length it takes to do it. Just go, hey, you ready to hire me now? And most people are ready. Then when they're in that mode, they're like, yeah, let's just keep going. And that's the power of having all these preparation pieces ready. So it's not like you just meet someone just to meet with them. You meet with them to get their business. And you got to be ready for it and prepared. And showing up like a pro is a big deal because you don't just show up and shoot the shit. Yeah. I mean, that's I can do that with anyone, and I don't have a lot of time to like just have random coffees, and
absolutely.
And they also appreciate my time, and they say that up front. I know you're busy, which is true, but yeah, the purpose of the meeting today is,
Mm-hmm. So that's great, Matt. So we got this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just to set everyone's expectations, as you said to me yesterday, that 5 calls with your friends, your sort of tight A's, A pluses, A's in the SOI, you're gonna have a pretty high hit rate on that, right? As you get into your lead follow up, you might have to make 20, 30 calls to make 4 connections, but you got to power through this, and I think you've structured this in a nice way. And the goal, as you said to me, every day is to win the day, right? That's what you want to do. We want to win the day, but you don't always win every day. So what do you do when you don't win the day? How do you get back in the saddle?
Well, as a realtor specifically, if you're not winning the day, you're losing the day. And yeah. Again, if you don't win the day, you're going to end up working until 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock on stuff you don't even need to do. And the truth is that we're so embedded in this market and with clients that I do have calls and notifications that come in all hours of the day and night, weekends and Sundays. But I don't always pick them up because I know my gaps and I know what works. So win the day. So winning the day is funny because it's about time management, and time management's that's an oxymoron, because time's all you got.
Right.
And it depends how you structure it and then how disciplined you are in that structure process. So winning the day to me is a fundamental. So I know that I can win 4 days a week. I know I can't win 7. So I set my target at winning 4 days a week.
Yeah.
If I win 5 days a week for 40 weeks of the year, I am making no less than $2 million net a year. And that is just grinding. But you don't need to do that. In this business, it's important to take breaks. It's important to know when to plug in and when to unplug. So the win the day formula of doing that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 gives you that chance to know, like, if I hammered in the morning and I check off all those boxes, the 5 calls, 4 lead follow up, 3 handwritten notes, 2 pop buys, I have my appointment, it's 3 o'clock, guess what I do? I go surfing because I've won the day. I get to put everything down. I'll pat myself on the back, like, great day today. Go have fun. Show up tomorrow and see if you can win the day tomorrow. Because the truth is you don't win the day every day. And there's days that you'll do really good in the calls, but you won't write a note. Or there's days where you do great on notes and pop buys, but you just didn't make a call. And you, through that process and through tracking your numbers, you're going to find out where your strengths and weaknesses are. Now your coach can actually develop you and help you with maybe you have a fear of your handwriting's not good, or maybe you have a fear of not being able to handle objection. So, understanding the gaps, or some people don't even like paying for the pop buy items, and they'll get goose eggs in that for months. What you don't know is, like, the pop buy, that's the fastest way to a referral.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And building off, coach always says fundamentals, and surfing is very technique, and I'm a really good golfer too. And so it's the same thing. It's technique, fundamentals. It's super mental. And, I'm proud to be the champion of the Realtors in golf for California.
That's only because you and I haven't played together yet. So I'm just saying, Matt.
and long drive champ too. So bring your notes.
You've thrown the gauntlet down.
But it's a discipline. That's the thing, is it's a discipline. Now, when you get up and approach your ball, if you're not looking down the fairway and you're not doing your homework, you're not looking at, the way that the hill is grading down, you're not looking at the winds, Certainly, maybe your equipment is wrong. Sometimes it calls for fade. Sometimes it calls for draw. Sometimes you need to hit low. Sometimes you need to hit cut. You got to be ready for all that stuff. And
Yeah.
it's just like life and winning the day. Like in the morning, you'll get a call from someone you don't even like that's
Yeah.
trying to give you a curveball or an email. That's why I try to tell people, like, don't go on email
Yeah.
until you're like done winning the day, or have your staff go through it in the morning and and send you like the contracts only.
Yeah.
And because you don't want to get, you can't get, I mean, it's funny. It's like even the breath of the wind sometimes will just blow someone right off track. And you're like, dude, that was just a breath of wind. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you got to
Mm-hmm.
be a little more strong mentally to understand, but it all comes back to like, why do you work? I work
Yeah.
to surf and travel with my son, period, and to build houses around the world.
Yep.
That's my purpose. That's my why. It's as
That's your
simple
why,
as that.
and you know your why, and you've read books on your why, and you've been purposeful and thoughtful about your why, and that's what drives your ability to make these decisions. We talked yesterday with Rusal about parallels in the military, right? And how, and in fact, we're going to do a military themed week. We're going to have some military leaders on leading up to Memorial Day, so I'm really excited about that. But the level of discipline and mindset, right, that happens every day, and scenario planning, to your point, the golf analogy, right? So you're prepared for the situations and you're in the right mind space to go ahead and do what needs to get done because there's no other option and you know what your why is. So I think that's fantastic. Hey Matt, as we wrap up here, any sort of parting words, right? So we've talked about some really cool things here, I think, that are going to be really useful to our audience about building a brand and being identified for something and winning the day and this great script. Any parting words for our agents out there as they go into the weekend here?
I do. I've been so fortunate to be around some of the best realtors in the country and the owners of the businesses, the brokers. I've got all these common denominators that I've been able to put into my journal. So, by the way, if you guys don't journal, everyone should journal. But
Great
I'll leave
advice.
you with the nuggets, some of the nuggets, not all of them, but here's a few. So, just remember that the hardest part, your peer group, people who tried to bury you, they didn't realize that you were a seed. Be yourself, smile a lot, be a giver, hold events, be present, play with the kids, follow up as if you're an overachiever. Have 30 seconds of courage in every conversation, remain listing focused, pursue your passions, business plan in October the year before, fully understand your why, play full on, time block for 2 hours a day with your power hours, always practice before a big game. You gotta want it, you gotta feel it, you gotta be fun, you gotta be interested in business and preparation. Slow down, focus, follow through with everybody. Uh, Focus on singularly setting appointments. Follow through all the way with people. Fall in love with the process. It's a process. You gotta love that piece. Be their safe place. Do a little extra. Be a storyteller. Be friendly. Be kind. Be a massive listener. Read daily. Journal nightly. Vacation quarterly. Go on some sort of seminar, some sort of coaching event every quarter just to feed yourself. Take a day out of your business just to do that so that you can rest peacefully. You remember, this is like a well. You got to pump it just a little bit every day.
Yeah.
At the beginning, you got to pump a lot, and then it starts to slowly flow. Be a reader, be a journaler, use the phone, win the day, have superb fundamentals, do a ton of video, follow a daily action plan, ask for the business, see the people, dress in a suit every day, wash your car twice a week. Being on time is Lombardi time. The old coach of the Green Bay Packers. If you have a 1 o'clock appointment, Lombardi time is 12:45. So be
Yeah.
there Lombardi time every time. Have all your contracts, all your comparables ready. Be honest, do the right thing, give your 100% best, show everyone that you care, do first things first. It's a game of prospects and appointments. That's the money ball for real estate. Be proactive, make it a win-win or no deal. Track all your numbers, smile a ton, know 100% I'm their best choice. Know your worth, have goals written in blue ink, know your purpose, discover your why. I got a lot more.
I was going to say that's amazing. I didn't know you were going to end with that, Matt, and that's fantastic. Um, but you journaled it, you wrote it, you've got it with you, right? You recite these things. I'm sure some of these things end up in your affirmations from time to time, and I think it's just tremendous advice, Matt.
Tell the truth and tell it ever, costeth what it will, for he who hides the wrong he did does the wrong thing still. And when a
Fantastic.
task is once begun, leave it not until it's done. Be a matter great or small, you do it well or not at all. That's the game of life.
That's fantastic. I can't think of a better way to end. Hey, Matt, say goodbye to our agents for today. I'm sure we'll have you back. Thank you so much for your generosity and your advice. It was fantastic.
Cool. Aloha. See you in the water or in a transaction.
That's right.
Thanks again so much for watching today's show. I can't tell you how much I appreciate your viewership. If you love this show, please consider subscribing to this channel. Click the little bell to be notified of all future episodes. Love that conversation with Matt. Love his energy, love his authenticity. Love that he figured out a way to take who he was and bring it front and center into the brand that he built. Love his playbook that he's built for himself. And again, as we talk about a lot on this show, take those playbooks, listen to what other people are doing, and figure out which pieces of it work for you. It has to be something that is authentically you. People talk about door knocking. If you're not somebody who's comfortable door knocking and you can't get comfortable with it, then don't do it, right? My point there is to find out what aspects of other people's playbooks, successful techniques that you can learn from, work for you. Take those things, build your own playbook, and find success in a way that is truly authentic to who you are. Again, I hope you enjoyed today's show. Until tomorrow, be safe, be healthy, be happy, and we'll see you real soon. Bye.